Hey everyone, let me ask you something. When did you last open your accounting software and check how many uncategorized transactions are sitting in there? I'm looking at you, transactions hiding in Ask My Accountant. If you manage your own books or you have a bookkeeper who's not on top of this, there's a good chance you have a list right now. Transactions that came in, got recorded somewhere, and just sat there. No category, no description, no context. And here's the thing. It sounds like a small housekeeping issue, and it could be, but it also might be hiding something larger. Uncategorized transactions are one of the most common bookkeeping problems I see across STR portfolios when we onboard clients. And the damage they do is quiet. Your net income may technically be right, but you have this big unknown line item sticking out like a sore thumb. Because of this, your owner statements are at risk with incomplete data. Your month-end reconciliation turns into a puzzle, and when tax time arrives, your CPA is either charging you to sort it out or filing with numbers that are not quite right. In this video, I'm going to break down what uncategorized transactions actually are, why they cause more damage than most operators realize, how to fix them if you have a backlog sitting in your books right now, and how to build a simple process that keeps them from piling up in the first place. So first, what is an uncategorized transaction? Every transaction that flows through your business, whether it's a bank account transaction or a credit card, needs a category, also known as an account in your general ledger. A category tells your accounting software what type of income or expense that transaction represents. Cleaning revenue, management commission, maintenance expenses, owner distributions, each one belongs somewhere in your chart of accounts. When a transaction gets recorded, but nobody knows what it's for, oftentimes people will stick it in one of these uncategorized accounts with the well-intentioned reasoning that they will get back to it later. In QuickBooks, this shows up as uncategorized income, expenses, uncategorized assets, or something that many will add, the Ask My Accountant account. Another software might say unclassified or needs review. The label varies, but the problem is the same. These transactions are technically recorded in your books, but it's not really telling you anything useful. It's not flowing into the right account, it's not showing up correctly in your P&L, and it's distorting every financial report that you produce until someone fixes it. We don't even know if these are legitimate business expenses or personal expenses that might be running through a company credit card. Now, here's why this hits the STR bookkeeping harder than almost any other industry. The transaction volume is high. You have guest payments coming in from multiple platforms, cleaning fees, damage fees, pet fees, vendor payments, refunds, resolutions. Every single one of these needs a category. If your bookkeeper is not keeping up, or if you're doing your own books and falling behind, that list grows fast. When this happens, your P&L becomes unreliable. How can you accurately analyze your revenue or forecast it if you don't know where some of it's coming from? Are you correctly paying vacation taxes? Same with expenses. Cleaning costs that are uncategorized are not showing up in your cost of goods sold, which means your margin looks artificially high. You can't make good decisions about your business on a P&L with uncategorized transactions hiding in it. To make it even more complex, we have owner statements. Uncategorized transactions means there's a possibility that your owner statements are built on incomplete data. If you're pulling owner statement numbers from your books and there are uncategorized transactions in there, your statements are working from incomplete information. Pass-through expenses may be missing, revenue may be understated, that net distribution at the bottom may simply be wrong. And sending an inaccurate owner statement is one of the fastest ways to damage a relationship that took months to build. But you don't need me to tell you that. Then we get to everyone's favorite season. Nope, it's not summer, it's tax season. If you have an accountant who's paying attention, they're going to notice these accounts. They're going to ask you to categorize them, or you're going to pay them way more than you want to clean it up. Worst case, they don't flag it and file taxes anyway, and you run the risk of inaccurate tax returns. Now, let me tell you which transactions we see sitting in uncategorized most often in STR portfolios. The platform payments from Airbnb and Vrbo are big ones. These arrive as lump sums that need to be broken down into accommodation revenue, cleaning fees, host fees, and any adjustments or resolutions. Depending on the accounting software and owner statement platform you're using, This may be fine, but left unchecked, these can wreak havoc on your financials. PayPal and Venmo, these are the classic, I'll figure that vendor out later, payment platforms. Honestly, I don't recommend using these payment methods at all. They're really designed for personal banking. But if you must use them, put the actual vendor name and categorize them correctly. Cleaning costs, whether you pay cleaners directly or reimburse through a platform, these need to be categorized consistently every single month. Not miscellaneous, not unclassified, cleaning expense. Bonus points if it's tied to the correct property, so you can analyze that later on. Lastly, you've got your platform payments, the Verbo, the Booking.com channel fees. These often end up in no man's land because honestly, those payments, those platforms don't make it easy to break down the charges. Just make sure you have a system to record these correctly. All right, so how do you fix this if you have a backlog? Start by pulling the full list. In QuickBooks, go to your uncategorized income, expense accounts. Maybe you got some on the balance sheet and uncategorized assets, or some other account that someone created and forgot about. Find them, pull everything. Export it to Excel. You need to see the full scope before you start working through it. I like to sort this by amount. You can start with the largest transactions first. These have the biggest impact on your reports and are usually easier to identify. Large platform payouts, vendor payments, and order distributions. Then, every transaction on that list, go ahead and assign the correct category based on your chart of accounts. And for expense transactions, add a description. What was it for? Which property? What vendor? What work was done? That context is essential when you're reviewing reports months later or an owner asks you about a line item on their statement. Once you've cleared that list, reconcile your accounts or review the reconciliation to ensure nothing changed. Everything should now match cleanly between your bank records and your books. And then, this is the part most people skip, build a process so this doesn't happen again. Because fixing the backlog without changing the process means the same problem will come back next month. Someone needs to own this each month. Here's the system we use with our clients at Keystone. We have a weekly transaction review. Every week, someone on the bookkeeping team reviews new transactions and categorizes anything that comes in with that category. For a mid-sized portfolio, this might take 2 to 3 hours a week, especially if we have bills to pay and receipts to match. This is dramatically faster than fixing 3 months of uncategorized transactions at month end, and it keeps the month end close very clean. Next, you want to understand your chart of accounts. If you don't know what it's used for or can't explain the purpose of an account to someone on your team, cut it. Move the charges to something that makes sense and deactivate that account. I'd rather see you with a non-standard P&L than one you can't explain. If you've got others on your team categorizing expenses, either in QuickBooks or through a tool like TopKey, write those rules down. Every category in your chart of accounts should have a written rule for what belongs there. Cleaning expense means payments to cleaning vendors. Maintenance repairs to the physical property over a defined dollar threshold. No guessing, no judgment calls. Written rules applied consistently by everyone on the team. Another line of defense, bank feed rules in QuickBooks. For transactions that repeat regularly, platform payouts from specific sources, certain vendors, monthly subscriptions, set those bank feed rules so the category gets applied automatically. This eliminates your manual categorization for your high volume transactions. Lastly, a zero uncategorized policy at month end. Before the books close, every month, 0 uncategorized transactions. Not almost 0, 0. If you have a backlog right now, set aside time this week to work through them, and then build that weekly review so you never have to do this again. If you want help building a categorization system that actually works for your STR operation, reach out to us at keystonebookkeepers.com. This is exactly the kind of thing we fix in the first 30 days with a new client. If this was useful, hit like and subscribe. We put out practical STR finance content every week.